r/askreddit, what movie soundtrack was better than the movie itself? Mortal Kombat, 1995. Test your might. Tarzan. Phil Collins carrying Tarzan's soundtrack harder than Tarzan carrying his own vines. Phil didn't have to go that hard. He did it for us. City of Angels. Nobody even remembers that Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls was from a movie. And wasn't even the best song in the soundtrack. Fight Me. Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. I was never a big fan of Everclear, but Local God was that summer's tune. I think it was a great movie, though. Tron, Legacy, movie was alright, but the soundtrack is on another whole level. The Bodyguard is arguably the greatest and most successful movie soundtrack of all time, mostly because Whitney Houston is an absolute god, and I Will Always Love You took over the entire world for a while. The movie is mediocre, at best. That soundtrack sold over 45 million copies. What was Whitney Houston's favorite form of coordination? And IFKN hate that song. Singles. Singles and Judgment Night. The Singles soundtrack was a gateway drug for a lot of people to discover grunge. I watched it once in like 1994 and haven't felt the need to watch it again. I've listened to the soundtrack, I don't even know how many times. Had it on cassette, upgraded to CD, and it's in my car CD player right now, 30 plus years after it came out. Flash Gordon, 1980. The movie was better than good, but the soundtrack slaps. It's an extended Daft Punk music video. And the soundtrack is an official Queen album. They also played music from it on tour. Gordon's Alive. The movie was gay. Not just a little bit gay, but wall-to-wall homoeroticism. I never picked up on it as a kid, but now it's crazy obvious. I love The Crow, but the soundtrack supersedes it. Agreed. Both the rock and metal album as well as the instrumental score. The sequel soundtrack is also good and definitely better than the movie. Yes. Love this soundtrack. Judgment Night. To be fair, that movie is still really good. The soundtrack just goes harder than fuck. Perfect way to combine rap and rock. Nah. Soundtrack was outstanding, but so was the movie. Still holds up too. Same with Demon Knight. Great soundtracks but also classic underrated movies. Batman Forever. Spawn. Trip Like I Do. Purple Rain. I almost downvoted this but then realized that it's not that the movie is bad but the soundtrack is so fucking good. Sliver, Last Action Hero, Lost Highway. Lost Highway was such a great soundtrack. Best version of Aerosmith's Dream On is on the Last Action Hero soundtrack. Sliver is excellent. If I remember, that's the only place you can get that version of Carly's song. The Queen of the Damned. Pump Up the Volume. Was that the one with U2 and Seal? Cruel Intentions. Logo of the soundtrack, thoroughly disliked the movie. So many good songs. Bittersweet Symphony was my senior class song. Also, Colorblind by Counting Crows is simply fantastic. Heavy metal. Sunshine. I listen to Adagio in D minor if I'm having trouble sleeping. But still a great movie. Maximum Overdrive. This is definitely more of a personal preference, but I really liked that movie. No doubt the music was even better though. You beat me to it. The whole film was a cocaine-fueled fever dream. Bye I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave. / Transformers, Steve Jablonsky is amazing. / Twilight's non-licensed original soundtrack was quite good. / Super Mario Bros. Movie, I want to see a symphony orchestra do that soundtrack live. / I absolutely could not stand Pixar's The Good Dinosaur, but the soundtrack is so beautiful, especially the opening song, Homestead. Yes, Arrival to Earth is one of the best, most chill-inducing score tracks of all time. Right in the middle of friggin' Michael Bay Transformers. Suicide Squad. Okay, so the movie was amazing too, but not one we typically think of for soundtracks, but Dumb and Dumber had a great soundtrack. Mary M.O.O.O.O.O.O. Twilight has an amazing soundtrack. Still listen sometimes, LOL. Guardians of the Galaxy. Xanadu. Oh brother, where art thou? And that's saying something, because that's a damn good movie. The Crow. Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. Both of the movie and the soundtrack were fucking awesome. Greatest movie soundtrack of all time, but the movie is legendary. Just watched it for the first time in like a decade and it goes even harder now than when I was obsessed with it as a 15-year-old. Baby Driver. Ready Player One. Conan the Barbarian. Great movie. Top 5 all-time soundtrack. The soundtrack carried the movie. Coneheads, Link. I had the soundtrack as a kid. So many good songs on it. Baba. Run Away. Baba. Get Away. Several of the Disney Renaissance films. The Little Mermaid. Aladdin. Pocahontas. Hercules. I definitely agree on Pocahontas. The rest, I think the movie was just as good, in large part because of the music. This was actually the first CD I ever owned. My mom bought it for me with the boombox she bought me in like 1993. Played the hell out of it.